In over 3 years of surfing, I had never surfed a point break. My local is all beach breaks and my surf trips got me on some reefs, but this session was my first time surfing a point, breaking all the way through. That's me in the bottom left corner, and that's a set rolling through to give you an idea of the conditions of the day. The way I approached this session was I saw two options. Either chase the best waves at the peak with all the locals, which I could potentially do because I had a local guide with me, or stay on the inside and pick up the crumbs from there. Since even half of any wave there is already much longer than my usual waves, I decided to go for option number 2, and this was my first wave of the session. What I will be doing in this video is walk you through each wave from the peak to the moment I take off on them. So here you can see someone tried to take off at the peak but failed, and then another guy took off in the foam but didn't make it, which left me in the perfect position to shoulder hop on this wave. This wave only broke on the inside and pretty deep, so I paddled hard towards the peak and caught it. Unfortunately, a section broke it down right in front of me, which is a shame because that thing rolled beautifully all the way through. This was actually the first wave of a big set, and I'll let you appreciate the entire set in silence. This was my longest wave of the day, I think. You can see that no one took off at the peak on this one. Then one guy tried to hop on it, but was a bit too light. Again, leaving me in the perfect spot to pick it up from there. Here goes another really good set. My wave was way out the back, no one at the peak. Then a bodyboard got on it. I thought there was no way that bodyboard was going to fall, but a section came up in front of him. He went for a Rolo and got caught. So I was next in 9. This was one of the best sets of the day, and again, I'll let you appreciate it all the way through. Wave number 5 for me, and a weird one. You can see it was breaking way out and with no one at the peak. And then one guy hopped on it but fell. I was next in 9, perfectly positioned, so I started paddling for it, and I barely saw this guy try and back paddle me to take off deeper in the foam. But it was my turn to go, so I took off, went for a cutback, and then I saw him still holding onto it. I signed him no, but I think he interpreted it as party wave because he kept going. I would have needed to cut way back in the foam to make that wave, but he was there and there was no need to get aggressive over a wave. So I gently rode it without getting too close to him. Another bomb for me that I was lucky to pick up from the inside. One guy took off at the peak, was locked in, but made a mistake and fell. Thankfully, I was in the perfect spot and went on this wave. It's a bummer I missed the cutback because I think I could have done at least 2 more turns on this beauty. I found it interesting how you could have a set wrap perfectly around the point and stand up all the way through, yet the very next set, even at the same size, could die midway into the bag, which is exactly what happened with this wave. This was a much smaller set and it only broke way inside, right where I was positioned. I hopped on it, held onto my board through the foam and finally made it to the shoulder. Then I did a quick cut back and right there, instead of trying to nose ride into the next section, I should have done another cut back and that would have allowed me to connect with the inside, which on this wave was by far the best section. This was a mega set. Look at the spit on this first wave. And then look at how many people tried to paddle into it and none of them succeeded. You had to paddle so hard and be right in the pocket to have a chance on these bigger waves. My wave was right behind it. Someone got on it near the peak and fell. Then everyone was too far out on the shoulder. So I took that one and had a very good run on it. Again, bummed about not making that last turn because this wave stayed so good all the way through. Now let's watch the rest of this set. You will not catch 30 waves at this spot, so you need to make the most of every single one that you do catch. My wave was way out the back here. Surprisingly, no one even tried to get on it from the peak to my position. I naturally went for it. Unfortunately, the inside was a bit busy and I was forced to adjust my line and missed pretty much all the wave because of it. But that's just to be expected at a spot like this one, and I'm glad it didn't happen more than that, to be honest. It was pretty manageable out there. I wasn't even in frame at the end there, so we won't get to see my turn. Another good set. The wave braking now isn't the one I caught, I was on the next one. The first one was quite busy all the way through. On the next one, a guy tried to take off at the peak but failed. Then two guys went for the shoulder hop. One of them got it, but fell shortly after. Everyone around didn't really have time to react, so there was my opportunity and I took it. Most waves were now dying on the inside as the tide was approaching dead low. This was such a miss for me, and I actually think this time I might have made a mistake. This wave broke very weakly on the outside, but the line on it looked really good. So lots of people tried to paddle towards the rocks to catch it, and I don't know if they were slightly too far out or if they pulled out because I was in the way. In which case, the blame is totally on me because they had priority. I even blew the first turn, and that was a real shame because this wave turned out way better than what it looked like on the outside. It stood up perfectly all the way through. This was my last good wave of the day. You are watching it break right now, and no one was at the peak for it because it broke really deep. As it was making its way in, I happened to be perfectly positioned for it, so I took my chance. I really tried my hardest to stay on this wave, but it completely died out. I'm proud to say that this was my only missed pop-up of the entire session, which is a pretty good number in my books. This wave was really good. I was right in the parkhead, but I paddled slightly deeper, and that's what cost me the takeoff. The first section was quite fast, but that wave stood up all the way in, and those were getting pretty rare at this point. This was a pretty obvious error in wave reading on my part. I was looking at that flat spot before the next section and thought I needed to cut back, but that completely rocked me off the wave, which is a shame because the next section connected perfectly and it actually made it all the way through. My camera started dipping over at this point, so I don't have the start of this wave, but the session was almost over anyway. I missed the rebound on that cutback, but the wave quickly died after that, so I don't think I could have done any other turn on it. This wave was pretty small and broke way inside, right where I was sitting. I went just a little too far back on that cutback and unfortunately missed the inside section, which was pretty good. Last wave of the day for me, with probably the deepest takeoff of the day as well. I really didn't want to give up on that, so I pumped like a madman trying to make it through the flat spot. I did make it and went all out on that closeout section. That's it. First time ever at a cranking point break. Honestly, I loved it. For me, the major difference with the waves I'm used to was how much better these waves can handle the crowd. Put the same amount of people at my local spot and it'll be hell on earth. But this day felt surprisingly manageable to me. I found my sweet spot on the inside and caught a total of 18 waves, which I think is pretty good. Aside from that, these waves made me realize how bad my breathing is when I'm up on a wave. I'm pretty much just holding my breath through each turn. On the few waves that I caught, which broke all the way through, I ended up completely out of breath, and that wasn't a particularly long wave either. So I think I'm going to focus a bit on my breathing from now on because I don't want to end up caught inside one day while fighting for air the entire time. If you guys have any advice on surfing point breaks, I would love to hear them in the comments. Please also feel free to share your own experiences as well. I hope you will have liked the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.